I hope you plan to donate every single cent that you have made off of misrepresenting my character and using my name for views.
So the Tyler Catastrophe saga is chaos, and it's only getting worse. With new damning posts coming out every day exposing Tyler for who they truly are. A massively cringe, weird mess. And we thought the initial scandal was bad enough, with a Parasocial creator scamming fans by setting up a GoFundMe to move to Brighton, England, to try and bump heads with the love of their life, Wilbur Soot, a once famous creator who is now mired in abuse scandal. But with all the new craziness that we have here today, we have to ask, how much worse can this actually get? So hello everyone, welcome back. I am Jake Baz, and today we're covering one of the weirdest rabbit holes on the internet at the moment, which is Tyler Catastrophe, and trust me, it is a catastrophe. Tyler is a social media creator and a art and bead creator, well, art in the sense of if you are unable to see, who blew up just a few weeks ago after YouTuber AJ posted a video exposing Tyler for his weird parasocial behaviour. And from them, every single day, we're seeing new videos on TikTok which are being posted highlighting all of the stuff in the past with Tyler, which turns them from just a weird social media creator to something much more darker and confusing, with their true intentions and their quirky, weird personality traits really coming to the surface. The initial weirdness came from them saying that they want to move from the US to the UK to live in the same city as Wilbur Soot, an ex-Minecraft creator turned to a band frontman that just over a year ago was exposed by his ex-partner Shubble for some terrible allegations. And yeah, you did hear that right, a Minecraft creator. They really have a good track record for all of this, don't they? Since the backlash, Tyler responded multiple times regarding this situation, defending Wilbur, and that means defending him for the actions of the abuse that was alleged through Shubble, and this situation from there did truly explode, with new clips from the archive coming out literally every single day, which are giving Tyler a very new colour of paint on the brush. So I think it's only right that we highlight the scandal, we look at some of the insane reactions from Tyler, show the new videos that are resurfacing on them, which really does add so much more to this entire situation, making it seem way more insane than what it already was, showing them as a LARPer and as someone who has created this insane scamming grift that they've got going on the internet, who is insanely parasocial, potentially narcissistic, and totally obsessed with themselves. And that's only some of the horrors that you'll see today, and show how this professional victim is genuinely one of the weirdest rabbit holes on the internet, because people are now even calling them a wholesome quirk chungus, which if you ignore how hilarious that sounds, it actually does have some precedent around all of it. Of course, if you enjoy, please do hit the like button and subscribe if you know. It helps me out so much, and I would love to have you back so we cover more TikTok and social media scandals such as this creep here. Also, throughout this vid, please just pretend this doesn't exist. I had a fight with a shaver and you can guess who ended up winning. So I think it's only right that we look at where this actually started and where it came from, and it came from this video here from Tyler, which is really long. I'll only play a few clips from it, but it shows just how weird and parasocial all of this started to become, and trust me, it gets way worse from here. Where Tyler in this is talking about Wilbur Soot and how they have a massive crush on this literal abuser.
I have had a crush on Will Gold since 2019 when I heard him laugh in the background of someone else's video, and it felt like life itself leaned in to listen. Which is really inconvenient for me because I am very much a one soul at a time kind of person, so once I develop a crush, virtually no one else stands a chance ever. And at the time, I had just broken off a terrible engagement to a guy who didn't even like me. And since then, I have only briefly dated one other person who was wonderful, but it didn't work out.
So there's already a contradiction here. I'm a one love person, so you've liked this person for 6 years, but then you've gone and dated someone else. That doesn't sound like a one love person. It contradicts exactly what you just said. But do bear in mind that the person they're talking about is Wilbur Soot, who is someone who is a social media creator, someone who is massive. Tyler's saying it here like they ended up being really, really close with each other, when in reality they met each other just a handful of times at like fan events. But I'll let you decide for a celebrity crush, because essentially this is what it is. Do you upturn your entire life and just ignore everyone else in the background because you want them? Yeah, when you put it literally, it sounds quite creepy, doesn't it?
Regardless of how many people have tried and been interested in me, I have not been able to find the interest for any single one of them, because I have a crush on a guy I have interacted with once. And I don't even officially know his sexuality. That's a whole other thing. And I have tried so hard to move on from this, to let it go, because I want so badly for it not to cross over into parasocial territory. But in like the 7 minutes that we spoke to each other, one, every time we made eye contact, I thought my heart was gonna burst out of my chest and fly away. 2, I was so nervous that my head just shut off and my mouth had a mind of its own. 3, he somehow managed to make me want to write music again, something I have not done since my last band broke up in 2019 and I got hit by a car and couldn't sing anymore.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but everything that I'm listening to so far sounds anything but parasocial. You know, I just had a 7-minute interaction speaking to this person who is famous, way more famous than me, and from that I have just incredibly thought about everything in my life to the point of wanting to move over there to meet him and live with him. I don't even know if he's attracted to boys, but it doesn't matter. You hear how this is anything but parasocial, right?
And 4, he failed to take a selfie with me because he was operating on, like, iPhone settings and I have an Android, and I accidentally called him adorable and immediately wanted to swallow my tongue. Because you don't flirt with people when they're working. That's rude. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. And my point is, it's a whole thing that I would like to no longer have to deal with. And all of this is made worse because I have been recognized at every single concert I've been to in the past year and a half, including 2 of his. And I've been on the Lovejoy Nation podcast twice. So no matter how many times I try to sweep this under the rug and move on with my life, there's always that little thing in the back of my head saying, there's a non-zero chance. Oh my god.
Yeah, good luck getting with this celebrity that is, as I said, mired in abuse scandal. Just a reference as well throughout all of this, Lovejoy is the band that Wilbur Soot is currently in. Somehow still has somewhat of a platform. But yeah, 6 years of fawning over someone on the internet that you have met once from a 7-minute interaction when you went to a fan event and you ended up flirting with them. I think that's the kicker there. I think that's where it went wrong. There was a slight bit of flirtation that went only one way. Wilbur ignored it, and then it kept going on. There's a 0% chance, but that is 100% in their head. As you know, and as you can see, it's very parasocial. It's so stupid to watch in it, right? You've got this man on TikTok shouting into the void, trying to get the affirmation for being attracted to a celebrity. But not only a celebrity who is mired in scandal, as we said. But even in this initial video, they are very much presenting themselves as someone who is cringe, first off, someone who admits that they are being parasocial with it and then continue to keep going down the pathway of doing it, and someone who would do anything for this love, which sounds very stalkery if you ask me. To the point where, as I said, they have talked about moving to Brighton, which is 4,000 plus miles away, to go and live there so that they can be nearer Wilbur Soot, which then really does become a stalking case, doesn't it? But as things have come out since the initial video, there has been loads of stuff which further put on top. This is just a one-time thing, that like a one message on TikTok into the void and then gone. It's something that has been peddled on their page for so long, such as this one here.
I'm not a homosexual as far as I know, but look at him. Look, what's a man supposed to do?
The thing is with this stuff here is that you're looking at it and it's like something that you'd see from like a 16, 15-year-old at the time, falling over a band member, that sort of thing. It's one of them like fan page looking things, but actually this is a 27-year-old creator. They're older than me, and I'm sorry if you see me doing thirst trap stuff like this, please do send me to a mental institution. But yeah, as the obsession goes, it keeps going on, and they ended up actually going to a Lovejoy concert, which is Wilbur's band, and they were promoting about how good it was and how much they enjoyed themselves, which adds even more scandal to it.
I don't want to worry about things anymore. I want to kiss a man, like one man in particular. Leave me alone. Please.
Like 6 years. Remind yourself, 6 years. This is not normal. Yeah, you can have a crush on someone. Yeah, you can fancy someone. But when you get into this sort of extent, even to the point of saying that you're going to move to another country, as we will get onto, it's another level of like, not just like parasocialism, but like degeneracy. And obviously, this garnered quite a lot of backlash considering the situation. And in what we will cover, I do think that Tyler's got some form of like narcissism in some form around how they look at and treat themselves. And they can't just see something like that and ignore it. They have to defend it to the hills, which is exactly what they're doing here in regards to wanting to move to Brighton just to live with this man. Well, not live with this man because, well, they're not got any interactions apart from the odd meet and greet. But, you know, just by chance to be around them, it's clearly hit a nerve.
Seeing the guy moving halfway around the world just to be closer to a YouTuber? If y'all think I would make a massive, life-altering decision that takes years of work to achieve, just because I was willing to admit on the internet that I think a musician I don't know has a pretty laugh, then y'all really have the wrong idea. And I suppose you have a better explanation? I was supposed to move to Bournemouth a couple years ago. I had a job lined up, I did a ton of research, made a ton of preparations, admittedly got a little too excited because it ended up falling through at the last minute. But when I finally dusted myself off and got myself back on track, and decided I could probably just move out of the US on my own, England was the easiest choice because I had already done so much of the work.
So they want to move to Bournemouth? Why Bournemouth? If you don't know where it is, it's just another seaside town in the UK. But it's not something that really people think, oh, I'd love to go to Bournemouth as someone who lives in Texas. But first off, I want to say, this response is cringe. Like, doing the two parts back and forth, two different people. No, oh God, it's so like Millennial core. Just so quirky and sassy for absolutely no reason at all. But I don't know, I don't really believe that they ended up wanting to go to Bournemouth in the first place. That is such a rogue choice. I feel like they just googled in the UK seaside towns that start with a B.
But why Brighton specifically? But when I visited England and met the people I'd hoped to be working with, I completely fell in love with the South Coast. I've always wanted to live near the ocean and it's gorgeous. And Brighton is a really popular city right now. I've got a bunch of friends and sport in the area, and like with most college towns, it's got a thriving art and music scene. And people keep telling me it's the gay capital of the UK, which I think is hilarious.
I don't know if this is just a quirk, but saying that the gay capital of the UK, it's hilarious. What? Why is that funny? It quite literally is the gay capital of the UK. That's it. Like, why is that funny? I don't get it. But also, even with this bit here, they're talking about like specifics of why they would actually want to move to Brighton, and just totally overglossing the idea that it might be to do with this massive parasocial relationship with a creator that also lives in Brighton. And if you notice as well, they're saying I fell in love with the South Coast, but then the way that they're explaining it, it's like they've never actually been to Brighton before, which is the one thing that's confusing me here. The one thing. There is many things that are confusing me here. This is just cringe.
You expect me to believe that's the only reason? I mean... I'm sure I'm not the only guy in the world who would let his decision to move somewhere be influenced by a sports team. And why would you like their football club if not for a crush? I grew up in the sport. My whole family played. We helped run a non-profit youth club. I was a referee for 6 years. And when it comes to the Premier League, most of the other teams, Chelsea, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Leicester City, to me, they all play like assholes. They time waste, they flop, they play dirty. Brighton actually plays the game.
But with this football gimmick that they've got going on, we will get onto that in just a second. But it is something that is very pivotal in this whole saga, because it's yet another thing that they're using to excuse the fact that they want to move to Brighton, not because they fell in love with someone in 2019 after a 7-minute conversation with them. But I don't think showing that bits of tat and that, oh, well, we used to, when we were younger, we ran a little football club, that means that I should move to Brighton? No, the football's very everywhere in the UK, actually. And just because you got a couple of cards that prove that you have Brighton cards, does that really add anything? No. It's just desperate, and it looks to me that they are trying to obfuscate the actual truth here. And that is also something that goes on throughout this entire thing, because even with the response to Wilbur's allegations, they genuinely just totally dismiss it. So as I said, Wilbur did get allegations come towards him around him being a bit of a biter, specifically hurting Shubble, which is just a horrible mess. The entire thing, if you go and watch Shubble's original videos on it, is terrible. And in Wilbur's response to it, not only just in the video, but also in the photo response that he didn't say anything that went against the claims, really. He didn't outwardly deny anything, which, if anything, is a sign that you are guilty of what you are being told that you've done. So if anything, it was like a pathetic escape from the situation, so you can continue to do music. I mean, everyone across the entire board of the music scene has loads of allegations against them. It's a terrible scene. But it's important we see what Tyler thought about the entire thing, because this shows yet another instance of him just being totally parasocial.
The video this comment is on is about how I do not think that Wilbur Soot is an abuser. And it took a lot for me to post it. I had to think a lot about how to say what I wanted to say. And I was really worried that it would be taken the wrong way. But since posting that video, I've seen so many reasons that I needed to post it in the first place. Because how long are we as people going to sit in this place where we treat every mistake as if it makes us irredeemable? And sure, people should face consequences for their actions, but if those consequences are not put in place as a lesson to be better and learn from those actions in the future, then those aren't consequences, those are punishment.
Yeah, you're hearing this right. It is genuinely baffling to hear how someone turns something on their head here. Talking about these allegations, which, as I said, Wilbur basically didn't deny anything. With it saying, oh, people just need to learn about this stuff and they need to move on, like, essentially. Like, I don't think it matters whether or not the person has learned from it. With these specific allegations, Shubble did say that it was like a very long-term thing of him doing stuff against her consent, which is clearly ridiculously bad. It was abuse, in my opinion, allegedly, and I do think that the way that he responded proved that as well. I don't think it could have been any more cut and dry in this entire situation. So for it to just be like, oh no, I don't think that he is an abuser. Yeah, you clearly have missed the entire point there. And then saying straight after, oh, people just need to learn. Well, why would they need to learn if they didn't do that thing that is the entire point of why they should be deplatformed? Defending Wilbur to the hills for some weird reason, or the reason is they fancy them and they want to be with them. So you can ignore this, that, and the other, all the terrible things because, oh, look, shiny new toy.
And no one learns from punishment. Day in and day out you hear, oh, people don't change, people never change, but they do. Every day, everything changes. Change is the closest thing we have to a universal constant. But the most important part of that puzzle is that you have to let people change. You have to acknowledge the ability to change. You have to acknowledge the change in itself. Are they really incapable of changing, or are you just not letting them?
With this entire thing, I don't think anything was to do with, oh, they need to change. Well, obviously, Wilbur needs to stop biting. Wilbur needs something that is, consensual. But I think that's very blatant. I don't think that's something that changes. I think that's a constant, like you're saying, it's a universal constant. And it's got my head whirling, and I'm just thinking, what, so they want them to change, so what, do you want to get in a relationship with them and see if they end up biting you now? How does he prove to someone that he's not been doing the exact same things behind closed doors? I'm not denying that Wilbur, from all of these alleged accusations, might have grown and gotten better and not do this stuff, but it doesn't mean that they didn't do the initial problem. Like, if someone goes and unalives someone else, but then they have this big reform thing and they say, oh, I'll never do it again, or do you just ignore that previous conviction? No, of course you don't. And especially when someone's at such a moral grandstance in high ground as where Wilbur was, it just totally disintegrates their entire persona. Allowing someone to change doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the support there because of their actions.
Because if you're going to call someone out for their behavior, you have to be willing to let them change the behavior. Because if you don't, you may as well just admit to yourself and everyone around you that you're not interested in people being better. You just want to watch more people burn. And I know someone's gonna call me a stupid f***ing optimist again, but nihilism is a cancer. And all it ever does is ensure that nothing ever gets better. And if you want to see a better world than the one that we have right now, you have to acknowledge and allow people to be better on an individual level.
Yeah, the entire thing's just baffling, and it's really confusing to hear. A 3-minute rant talking about how people need to be able to change, but then also saying that they didn't do anything wrong. Not necessarily that they've done nothing wrong, but that they can't grow from a situation, and we should support them as they do, as they stop biting people unconsensually. Like, it's genuinely such a daft argument. I think that if someone does something like that, it's very right that they should be put on a pedestal and looked at. It was a systematic and deranged, weird thing that went on for so long in this relationship between Shubble and Wilbur, and it's something that should be addressed. And the fact that Tyler just blows it off like it's a nothing burger is mental. All that dick riding without getting any dick. And I think it's important to just quickly highlight what Shubble did actually say in the response to Wilbur responding to the allegations, because that just shows even further what this situation is all about and how genuinely it couldn't be more cut and dry. So to see Tyler do this is a massive LARP.
Everything that I said was acknowledged and not denied, not even a single detail, literally not a single detail. And I want to clarify that because there was only one but. But I thought it was consensual. I thought the biting specifically was consensual. I thought the biting was consensual. The point is that it was harming me. And it wasn't at first. He was capable of doing it for months without even a single accident, never hurting me. And then accidents started, and then they were repeating, and then they were becoming more frequent. And then it was a routine. It was part of our routine. It was every day, and it was worse and worse, more extreme pain as time went on.
Like, as you can see from what Shubble is saying there, it was a pattern that was repeated, and it is a literal form of abuse when it was not consented on, and it kept happening again and again. But no, we have the world's #1 rider going on and begging it to the hills, and that is something that they're very good at doing, especially with all of the newer stuff that we're seeing come crawling out the woodwork. As I mentioned about the football grift that they've got going on around Brighton and Hove Albion, which is a football team, believe it or not, in Brighton. Tyler likes to pretend that this is something that, well, I've always been really in love with this team, and nothing to do with the fact that Wilbur lives in Brighton and it's an excuse to go there.
Adore them so much. Like, wanting to move to Brighton specifically when I moved to England because I love Brighton FC so much. I'm a big soccer fan. I call it football. I'm born in America and most of my following is American, so it's for some. And my main team is OKC Energy FC. Love Oklahoma. Let's go. But you know what England has? The Premier League, baby, let's go. I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I don't have a team over there. I don't know who to root for. I should do some research. And so I did. And I think I landed on Brighton. They're the f***ing Seagulls, and it's amazing. And they're 6th in the Premier, so they're doing pretty well. And they are literally the Seagulls. That's literally the best. This is the obvious.
I was coincidentally trying to find a football team in the Premier League, and I managed to stumble upon Brighton. I wonder why. These clips as well saying, oh my god, I adore them, and then only just a couple of months earlier ended up finding out that Brighton and Hove Albion exist. It shows really what this is all about. This is a parasocial relationship which is getting deeper and deeper because it ends up being easier to get more intertwined with the community of Brighton because that's where Wilbur lives. I feel that football is a bit of a grift for Tyler Catastrophe. I do, genuinely. And it's also something that is one of many things that they do tend to LARP about and also have loads of gimmicks. As you've seen, and as I'd hope you've seen by now, this is entirely cringe. All of the stuff here is really cringe, the way that they're going about it. Genuinely, it does my nut in. But don't worry, we got way more cringe to come. Tyler, in this parasocial relationship, likes to get into different genres and eras, which I imagine they sort of hyper-focus on and think that they could get this affirmation from these communities. And one of the things that they do is auditioning, and for some reason they audition for quite a lot of things and try and make everything about themselves. And first off, one of the recent ones that was found was a massive grift in itself, with them going and talking about how they could want to join Lovejoy and be in Wilbur's band. One which does take the begging to another disastrous level.
Absolutely no idea if one of my favorite bands might want a second vocalist, but I do know I am crazy enough to ask. So hi, Lovejoy. Do you want a second vocalist? My name is Tyler Salona. I'm 26 years old. I live in Texas, but I'm trying to move to England anyway. I'm a massive extrovert. I've been performing since I was 10, and in 2019, I was actually a semi-professional vocalist, but then had to spend almost 5 years getting my voice back after losing it completely because someone hit me with their car. Through the sheer force of audacious determination, I now have my voice back and my vocal stamina, which basically means that now that I can go back to music, not doing so makes everything else feel unfulfilling and sad. I figured I might as well shoot my shot. And I also play the trumpet, which is probably helpful. Anyway, here's Portrait of a Blank Slate. The whole thing. I hope you like it. I mean, you probably like it already, let's be honest. It is your song, but I also hope you like the parts that I'm gonna do. The singing part.
Yeah, they then go on to play the song in full, which I can't show, obviously, because it will get copyright struck off the internet. But what an insane level of dick riding to go to this length. So I don't know if you are looking for a second vote. No, nobody asked. Nobody in the room wanted it. You have invented yourself that they require a vocalist. But it's not only that, it's the idea that they're doing this around a band, Lovejoy, who the head guy in there is Wilbur Soot, someone who has been done for allegations like that. Like, realistically, why would you want to be a part of that? Let's be real. And you also see something you'll see a lot with Tyler, where he does like to gas himself up. There's nothing wrong with having confidence, but the way that they go about it, as you'll see in further clips, makes it seem very, very much like they are at the pinnacle of everything, even when the singing is left to be desired sometimes. But they're a vocalist, they're an artist, they're everything that you could possibly imagine, and also a scammer, as we'll also cover. Tyler likes to interject stuff into things that they enjoy, and they like to become the center of attention if they possibly can. And this LARPing, essentially, is not just something that is exclusive to the Lovejoy audition. He likes to audition in multiple other things, in what I would imagine is some weird way to try and go viral, but it's fallen at every point, such as this one here, where they actually put on an accent to try and assimilate.
Now, I know I tend to avoid the accent, but I am from Oklahoma and I currently live in Texas. People just tend to take you way more seriously if you ain't from either. However, the accent is in my back pocket at all times, and if Hadestown wanted, I would deliver. Now, am I likely to get handed a role from TikTok? Who knows? However, I am just crazy enough to try. One could say I'm as crazy as Orpheus walking into hell alone. So we might as well just f*** it up a cappella and see what happens. Ahem. I'm coming, wait for me. I hear the walls repeating, the falling of my feet.
So there we go, yet another beautiful audition for singing. It turns out that one didn't end up going too well either. Neither of the auditions ended up actually going anywhere. Also, the lyrics are really giving a, "'Cause tonight will be the night that I will fall for you." It's not hitting. I think, Tyler, it's probably not the best way to do it with your head slanted in every single video talking about this stuff. I saw a comment that was like, the way that Tyler looks into a camera sideways is because because their hair is weighing them down, and I can't look at it any other way now. But it's not really cringe. It's really, really good singing, and I hope the auditions end up working well eventually. But it is just a grift, and I think it's just a grift to try and get attention from the people that they do really enjoy, showing how parasocial this person truly is. And there's yet another example here, which is related to the Netherlands football team. And trust me, I have absolutely no clue where this link up happens, because as someone who was born in America, lives in America, and supports Brighton for some reason in the UK, having the Netherlands national football team be part of all of this saga is just weird.
Send a video to all of the Netherlands, specifically to the men's national football team, but also just all of it, because I want very, very much to see y'all play in the World Cup, but I do not have World Cup money. So what would it take? What would I need to do to offer myself up to you as like an American social media correspondent? Not just as an influencer, but as someone whose heart and soul is in the game and wants very much to see you win.
The caption of this video is, "What job does he not want, bro?" And at this point, I've got to kind of agree. They're going for every single job under the sun. Like, why specifically the Netherlands football team? And it's something that was mentioned once and then never mentioned again. It's just performative from them, and it shows in everything that they're doing. Just trying to get attention from the higher-ups in society, I presume, in a sense, in the exact same way that they did with Wilbur. I don't think the Netherlands national football team needs an American social media correspondent. It just feels like a grift, and a lot of it is grifting. And the biggest grift that is going on is something that has been going on for 3 years now, which I genuinely just feel like is just a scam, allegedly. And this is with the GoFundMe that Tyler has, because Tyler really wants to get out of the US.
Hey, could y'all maybe do me a favor real quick and blow this up because it's really important to me? Yeah? Okay, thanks. Love you, bye.
That video is from 2023, so it's something that's been going on for 3 years, and it's something that I genuinely find insane. It is a GoFundMe that says, "Help a disabled trans guy escape Texas." And we will get into later how I believe that they do appear and try to seem like a professional victim in all of this. But yeah, Tyler is a trans creator, and having a fundraiser which has both disabled and trans is going to feed into both of the marginalized communities online, which do struggle with them sort of ailments. And I'm not denying that it's both of them, obviously. But with everything else you'll see, it just feels like a keyword sort of section to try and get them out of Texas so they can move to Brighton. So yeah, you see there, $16,000 raised of $22,000, and that is all to move to Brighton so that this parasocial relationship can keep going on. In this they say, "I've been given an amazing opportunity to move to England and further my art career, and considering everything that's currently working against my safety here, I'm doing everything I can to make it happen." Considering this is 3 years old and they're saying that, I'm doing everything I can, it doesn't look like it, does it? Because you've not moved in 3 years. But they're also saying I've been given an amazing opportunity to move to England and further my art career. What is that opportunity? There is no mention of it. There is no explanation of what that opportunity is. It just sounds like a vapid sort of thing, something that doesn't actually exist. They just want to move away. Going on further in this to say the fundraiser will help with bills, medications, updated documents, moving fees, plane tickets, and finding housing once I'm able to move. So this GoFundMe GoFundMe is literally just so they can move away and to help with them paying bills of it. It's not like a very special thing. In this entire thing as well, there's not really anything apart from just saying, oh, I'm just worried about my safety here, but you've been there 3 years since. Also, no mention of what the actual disability is that they suffer with. That's not mentioned in here. It just feels like a scam, doesn't it? Or just help me to pay my bills, essentially. I'm hoping that once I'm stable enough, I'll be able to help others as well. Maybe we'll be as safe as we possibly can be. What do you mean? I'll be able to help others? What's that got to do with this fundraiser? To me, all I've seen here is that there is no real vision of what this opportunity is. There is not really an explanation of why these struggles are so bad for you. It's just you saying, oh, I need money to move, help me now. And I think that's a scam for a GoFundMe, let's be real. Which is what I just find insane with this entire situation, that it's been mentioned and just glossed over. It's something that's just mental to me. Go on my GoFundMe so I can go and follow my parasocial relationship that is definitely not going to happen. And there's other ways that they're trying to monetize that, such as with the art, which we'll get onto in a second, which is just great. Absolutely brilliant to look at. But first off, I think we need to gloss over quickly as well the further sort of dismissive nature that they have been with this Wilbur Soot situation, adding even more to how it is ridiculous that they are still platforming and trying to platform this because they want to be in a relationship with them. In a very riddled way, Tyler goes on to talk about how cancel culture is the problem for all of this.
Cancel culture is bullshit. And I'm not talking about holding people accountable for their awful actions, because obviously we should be doing that. I'm talking about how many people are training their audiences to be internet attack dogs, which is not cool. And right now, it's really hard to be on the internet. Feels like every other day we're getting someone who's secretly a terrible person. But I'm starting to realize that a lot of people don't know the difference between f***ing up and abusing people. And as someone who has been abused, kind of a lot, I'm gonna explain the difference. Because if you don't know the difference, there are a lot of people who will try to use you as a weapon against the people they don't like. And I don't know about you, but I don't like being used for anything. So if you find yourself asking, is this person an abuser, or did they just f*** up somehow? Here are some questions that you should always ask. The first question's a little gray, but it has to do with intention. Did they knowingly hurt you on purpose? And if you know for a fact that they did it on purpose, then yeah, that person sucks, they're an abuser. But if you can't be sure they knew they were hurting you, you have to ask yourself another question. This one's a two-parter. One, did you tell them it hurt you? Because if you didn't, I'm sorry, you have to. You can't assume they know unless you tell them.
Don't you think this is insane after what I've already shown you around this Wilbur situation, that they are still defending them like that? As I said, he categorically said that Wilbur is not an abuser in this situation. Even though Shubble has said, well, yes, he did do it so many times when I told him not to do it. So by definition of Tyler's own statement here, he is saying that he is one, but he's just ignoring it and glossing over it because he fancies him. Pretty privilege is definitely something that can be given in sort of scenarios like this when you have a celebrity at the highest. It's just a fame, it's a power difference, and it's something that gives this sort of aura that can then just sort of excuse everything else, at least in the mind of Tyler. For everyone else who has at least 10 brain cells, this is ridiculous.
I'm giving you this information because as someone who has been abused more times than I'd like to tell you about, I still believe that everyone deserves a chance to be forgiven. And with all the time and energy we spend hoping people in our lives will change, you cannot hope for that without allowing them to change when they realize they've f***ed up. And if you want people to be better, you have to let them try to be. And unfortunately, the elephant in many of these discussions is that it's really easy to lie. And also, it's really easy for someone to vastly exaggerate when they're mad at someone. That's just humans at this point. So if someone you don't know on the internet is telling you something about someone else you don't know on the internet, please just take a step back, take a deep breath, ask yourself some questions, because chances are you don't have all the information, and it's okay to wait to form an opinion until you do have more information.
The problem with this is that we have enough information to come to a decisive conclusion, which is just totally being glossed over here. I'm not going to repeat myself, it's just batshit that they are explaining this situation like they are. And also by qualifying it by saying, as someone who has personally been abused, I have. So, I mean, it doesn't really add up, does it? Everyone handles it differently, and yet we should let people learn from their actions, but has that happened? I don't know. We don't know. But we shouldn't allow people to have such a high platform and status if they have done terrible things like Wilbur has. But also, in regards to all of this scandal, Tyler does explain that, well, people are just making money off of him for views, and he's gonna live with it.
And I spent a ridiculously long time being just the scapegoat for everyone around me. So I know that there are people who have no interest in the truth, no matter how big it is. And I know that there are people who will post anything that gets views. Consequences be damned. I actually left the creator program months ago because I didn't like the incentive it gave to, like, trigger people and start rage bait, and it's stupid. I don't like it. So really the only thing I have to say to the people who are using my name to get views and make money in a way that is not true and is very deceptive, I hope you plan to donate every single cent that you have made off of misrepresenting my character and using my name for views.
Alright then, I'll do that when you donate every single cent from that GoFundMe for misrepresenting why you're actually moving to Brighton. Like, a lot of the stuff that they're saying is just like a logical fallacy. It's just stupid. It doesn't make sense. I don't think anyone is misrepresenting what you've said when they've looked at what you have posted verbatim and then made up their decisions from it. And for some reason, he loves to talk in these weird riddles, so then we never actually get down to what is actually going on about. He will just defend everything to the hills, and it's really weird. But I hope the Brighton move does come soon, because it's fine if you go and pester someone like Wilbur. I think he deserves it, if anything. And one of the ways that you are going to get there is selling your incredible art and jewellery, which it's left to be desired, to be honest, and a lot of people are dogging on it for valid reasons. Tyler really, to me, has a bit of a god complex around what he does, and he has a real artistic vision, which doesn't really pan out as good as what he's saying. But as a creator, he is someone who creates loads of beautiful stuff, and he loves to be on a moral grandstanding high ground over it, such as here explaining why his stuff is so expensive.
It is wild how wrong some of y'all are about what I do. And maybe that's because I've been downplaying it for so long. I think it's funny to oversimplify and just say I put beads on a string for a living, but this... Let's remind you who I am today, huh? The piece I'm currently wearing is $575, took 2 people with months of work, has the centerpiece sunstone cabochon, hand-beaded and backed in suede, got cat's eye, dyed jade, rose quartz, carnelian, and rhodochrosite. I don't know how to say that word. Ties in the back with a ribbon, making it fully adjustable. Not this ribbon, this one's just a tester. It contains 0 metal, so it's safe for people with metal allergies. And I freestyled this one. There's no tutorial for this online, I promise. If there was, I would have had to have been the one who posted it. And the level of skill it would have required to even think of this piece took me 8 years. And it's not the only one. This one costs $475. Does contain small amounts of metal in the beads. Drove me very nearly insane for months because it's such a different shape than what I usually go for. But luckily I followed it up with this one, which is $375, and it's probably one of the best color schemes I've ever gotten to do. You want to know how I know that these pieces are worth their price? Aside from the years of practice and the months of work, aside from the fact that you can't get them anywhere else, this fun fact, this beadwork can't be done by machine. But I actually know they're worth it because the first 3 pieces from the first drop have already sold. Plus they come with cute little matching gift boxes. Who wouldn't want these?
Yeah, they're definitely one of the necklaces that I have seen in my life. I mean, it just looks like random tat you'd see in like a Primark or in a dollar store, like just a basement bin. I wouldn't say it's very good, personally. I think I did a better shot in primary school making beads for my bracelets. But alright, I'll shelve my judgment for just a second on how good they look, because they genuinely are great, aren't they? But I'm saying $575 for a bracelet. Yeah, fair enough. There is a lot of time that goes into it, but then also just totally over-explaining it and saying, oh, well, it took months of multiple people to create this piece. If it didn't end up taking that long for it to be produced, there is no way you would be selling it for that price. You'd be selling it for way more. Because otherwise, how are you making a living? You would be not on the internet. You'd just sat there 16 hours a day, curling around some beads. Saying it can't be made by a machine as well, that's just a lie. There is no way that it can. But fair enough, it's a handmade jewellery which is special, and I do like that. It's just a shame that the designs are left to be desired. But it's not only beautiful necklaces that they do, they also have a great propensity to create artwork, and if you know how good the beads are, you're going to know how good the art is as well.
Artists have a habit of really sucking when it comes to actually pricing our work fairly. That's me right now. And you know, I've just decided today that that's the day that stops. Today's the day that stops. Because gone are the days where I charged $200 or less for work that took me months to finish. That's just wrong, and I know. You know how some people say that your prices should make you cringe when you tell them to people? I was doing that the wrong way, because I knew it was too low, and I was cringing at how low it was, but I felt like no one would buy it if it wasn't low enough.
This is where the sort of like narcissism, in a way, comes through, because they're just so self-obsessed with their own creations, and there's nothing wrong with being confident in what you have created. But to go on a rant to a camera about, oh, this is worth so much more, this is so much better, that's a bit weird. I think the art should work for itself. Like, if you enjoy the vid, please do hit the like button, but I will know that you enjoy the vid if I get high watch time, because people are interested in it. I think in this form of art, it's just a bit different. You should charge whatever you think it is worth, but if people don't buy it, that's the entire point of how good your art is. So his art must be absolutely brilliant.
Take this painting, for instance. This one has basically just become my business card at this point. This has traveled with me since the beginning of my career to every art fair I do. If people don't know me, they know this painting. Everyone wants this painting, but I charge for like $300 and no one buys it.
Well, there's an absolutely brilliant thing there where people are buying it because not everyone wants it. Why are you saying everyone wants it when clearly no one wants it if you've had it for years and no one's bought it? It's a very simple sort of premise that, yeah, it's not very desirable if people aren't buying it at the price that you set it. But it's almost like a woe is me in that I've had this for so long and it's such a good piece and everyone loves it, but no one wants to buy it. Well, no one, exactly. No one is buying it because it's not worth it. But I don't think that was that bad an artwork. But some of the other stuff, I do think they're a bit shit.
But I don't know if you can see those beads on there, but I have no idea how or why. I just felt like it, and I love that for me, honestly. Sheer vibes and my unwillingness to make normal things ever. I don't even have a name for this. Maybe Jim. Yeah, Jim. This is the silliest thing I've ever done. And luckily for all of you, this one is not under the contract, so it is for sale for $3,500 plus shipping.
$3,500 plus shipping for that shit. That genuinely, that painting is throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. But then it's not just a painting, it's a 3D painting because it's got a couple of beads on it. Like, what is going on here? That was terrible. I'm never going to understand modern art. I think it's just pointless. But what I don't think is pointless is putting beads on a random circly thing and charging $3,500. Do you think in a couple of years' time they'll come back to this video and they'll be like, well, I can't believe that nobody ended up buying this? Well, I've got a couple of things as to why they might not have bought it, but I'm not sure you want to hear it, Tyler. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't get why they've got this grandiose idea around their creations when they're doing stuff like that. Also, in comparison to the other one, it's thematically totally different. I just think that they've got this massive ego, if anything, around themselves, and they think that what they are doing is the best course of the way and everyone loves it, but then nobody's buying it. It might be that you're charging ridiculous prices for it, but I'm no economist around this. Like, I'm glad you're doing all these great creations. I'm really glad, but I'm not sure that this is the way that you should be going down with it. Maybe drop the prices a little bit and get yourself over to Brighton as soon as possible. Tyler, as I said as well, is also very obsessed with themselves, and that is something that has only in the past couple of days come forward even more around everything. Added another layer to the wholesome quirk chungus that they are. And I can't tell whether this is like a fake confidence thing or an actual confidence thing, but if you're looking at the art pieces and how grandiose they are, it probably is real, innit? But some of the things that they say is just baffling, like this talking about how because people are buying art pieces from them, they must find them attractive.
Absolutely love how respectfully feral some of y'all get when I show off the jewelry I make and sell in a way that could be considered a thirst trap, because 99% of the time, the only reason I film them is because it's like 1:30 in the morning and I'm bored. Technically, it's 1:35. Anyway, you should buy some jewelry and tell me I'm pretty. Might as well.
Buy my jewelry and tell me I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm sure the reason why that they are buying it is because they're interested in you. That must be the only reason in the world, because you're posting thirst traps about yourself. I'm not showing you many of the thirst traps, and I don't think I will. As you can see, the head is still at 45-degree tilt. But like, this is in the scenario of a micro-influencer. These sort of videos weren't getting that much traction at all, only a couple hundred likes at the time. So for him to be saying this, like, it is the best thing in the world. I'm so famous now. You've got a little bit to go, mate. I'm not going to lie. But then I also saw this a couple of days ago saying, did anyone else see that Tyler Catastrophe has their tattoo of their own signature? And I actually couldn't believe it. But from what it looks like, that is their signature that they have tattooed onto themselves. If this is the case, because it does look like the case, it is mental, like genuinely mental. They barely show it in any of their videos, but it is something that if they have, that is another level of narcissism, isn't it? Like, you've signatured on yourself your own signature as to like, that is the art. God, that is fire. That is absolute fire. I think we might have gone a little bit too far in the self-obsession there, to be honest. I think that does truly highlight how crazy this person is to want to have themselves have their own signature on them. I've never seen that before, I'm not gonna lie. And then also, with the confidence constantly going still at the 45-degree tilt, we have this one here.
Random people used to come up to me on the street and tell me that the way that I looked is how they pictured Jolene from the Dolly Parton song Jolene.
Like, I'ma be real with you, Chief. I don't think I'm seeing that, to be honest. I'm no, like, looks expert, but I'm not seeing that sort of divide there. I think you might have made that one up in your head. I don't think that's the case. It's just a level of like self-obsession which is very self-encompassing, and it is quite big with them. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with loving yourself, and there's nothing wrong with having the confidence to love yourself as well, but then it comes to a point where you get from confidence and you turn into arrogance, and I feel like it's the arrogance point that we're at here with Tyler. And to take his own words, I'm not spreading misinformation, I am just telling a story. But with this as well, there has come a lot of people who have ended up just taking it like way too far. Like this clip here is about Tyler talking about how they are going to be going to Brighton and moving to the UK, with the caption saying Tyler Catastrophe being ignorant to violence in the UK, certain violence with a certain object. And no, that is ridiculous to say. Like, I know that this is a clip farmer that's trying to get engagement bait, but like, why are people trying to create this as a scandal? Like, this is ridiculous. Pew pew crime is way worse and way more widespread per capita in the US, and that is an absolute fact. So it probably would be safer being in the UK, where we do have that occasional problem like that. But like, I know this is a lolcow, it's becoming to the form of a lolcow, Tyler, but for people to be saying this, it's just taking it way too far and taking away from the actual controversy, which is them being a self-obsessive person who is very infatuated with an abuser. And I will go on to say that despite all of this as well, this is someone who I do believe is a massive victim, as in they see themselves as a professional victim in all of the stuff and the avenues in their life. And I will also say it's good to talk about your experiences, your past traumas and things like that, but I think it is used in a way which does try to garner sympathy and attention, which is something that you do see with a lot of people online, such as someone I cover a lot, Alphabet Ryan Doherty, who is a trans creator who uses being a victim to then get empathy and gifts. And I have a couple of examples here which really do show, in my opinion, that they are trying to victim max, as this person put it.
Influx of people trying to insult me online recently, so here's a list of reasons that's not gonna work. I've been calling myself queer on Tumblr since 2011. I was SEMO in a small town Oklahoma high school. I'm literally transgender. I was once engaged to a Marine who drunk called me and almost called me someone else's name. Also, the day I met him, a drunk black woman called me Beyonce, and I still dated him, so that was on me.
Sorry, what's that Beyonce thing got anything? What? What a ridiculous statement when you're trying to guilt trip. I love the I'm blacking out the haters by doing this self-deprecative thing, which is very millennial once again. Gen Z is very lost on this. But genuinely here, just trying to tick off every single problem and ailment that they've got. It's just great to see in it.
I don't speak to 98% of the people I'm related to. I got hit by a car at 50 miles an hour and didn't get a single dollar. I got negative dollars. It's also the reason I've been breathing manually for 5 years. So, I put beads on a string for a living in Texas. When people try to be mean to me, I laugh at them, and when people are nice to me, I cry. Ooh, and I was wrongfully medicated for 11 years. I didn't learn to think until I was like 23, and I'm 25, so had to learn quick. Also, I was supposed to move to England last year, and I got really excited, and I told people, and I crowdfunded, and I was super excited, and then they rescinded the job offer at the last minute and like didn't tell me. So that was humiliating. And like, genuinely, the list just goes on.
Need I say any more? There is just a load of guilt tripping there, really, around their entire situation. Around the England one as well. Oh yeah, I had a job, but it got rescinded without them saying out to me. Well, how do you know it's been rescinded then? Like, what are you on about? Maybe it's also because you spent 3 years at that point trying to crowdfund to move over, which you've got a load of money. So why have you still got that donation link open if you're trying to move, or you're not trying to move? move? What are you trying to do here? Also, what does the breathing manually for 5 years mean? Doesn't everybody breathe manually to an extent? I know it's somewhat autonomous, but like, what, you've got to think about breathing in and out for 5 years? No, that's not how the mind works. What are you on about? I also just generically think that they're very cringe, the way that they go about all of these videos with the head tilt and with the way that they sort of talk about things. For example, with this comment here saying he's like if Tumblr was a person, and I do think that is exactly true. And this victim Maxine obviously does keep on continuing in many ways, such as here.
Every single time someone tells me to just get a job, I tell them that I'm disabled and that it would hurt me a lot and that I want to focus on my business, which is technically true. However, the real answer at the very pit of my soul is that I don't want to. Stop telling me to do that. Also, speaking of hoe faces, I have a massive crush on Wilbur Soot, or Will Gold. I have since 2019 when I heard him laugh in the background of someone else's video, and it felt like the world slowed down. And I also really, really love Lovejoy. I love singing those songs. They're so fun. At this point, I don't know if I want to work with him or date him. In a perfect world, probably both. But I talk about that a lot, actually, and I don't know how to write a professional email. If you're gonna work with me, you're gonna work with me. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And smiley face off the charts, bro. It's also why I can't write a resume. Oh, they're so boring.
So the main reason is that you can write a CV and you just don't want to work. Okay, fair enough. But this is where it just comes across as a dismissive sort of thing, because they're going on there and saying, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to work because I don't want to work. It's not because of my disability. But then if it's because of that and you just can't be arsed working, why have you got a $17,000 donation link for a GoFundMe? I find that a total scam. How could you be accepting money for donations to move abroad because you need help getting abroad, but you won't get a job and you refuse to get a job to help you with that stuff because you can't be asked? It's not because you're disabled. So are you lying about you saying, oh, I'm disabled early and it's not actually that bad? Or are you just being lazy? And I think we can deter from multiple things that you've seen in this video that it's one of the two. I just think generically as well, they've just got pure like millennial core and it's cringe like here.
Have anything nice to say, at least be entertaining. Here's a list of very real things I have said recently in response to nameless, faceless internet trolls who try to insult me, but fail because they're f***ing boring. Number 1, I will not think of you again. How much of you has already been forgotten? 2, when was the last time someone treated you gently? And why wasn't it you? 3, if you found kindness, would you know how to hold it? If you found it, would you even know? 4, can you feel the breath atrophy in your lungs? And why do you let it? 5, what if your life is truly your own when even your name was chosen for you? 6, how long will you stare at your own reflection before you realize it doesn't know you? 7, I wonder at the worth of your words when your voice turns deaf all you hear it. 8, and my personal favorite, when did you last feel the weight of your own soul? And why can't you feel it anymore?
Yeah, I've got absolutely no words. Oh, it's so cringe. It's just so cringe. I can't. It makes my skin crawl. When was the last time that you remembered to breathe? Essentially is what I just got from that. That's all I saw, and then the rest was just a blur. Yeah, you really showed them trolls. You told them exactly what to do, and you really did own it up to the haters, didn't you? You cringe bastard. Just quirky. Just a quirky person. I just can't get over it. It's just such a weird, obsessive rabbit hole, because the further you go down, the more cringe it gets, the more weird it gets, and the more parasocial it gets as well. But I do want you to remember the overarching theme around all of this, around this person, is that they do want to be in a relationship with Wilbur Soot, who is an abuser. And they make it very evident with all of the stuff that is coming out every single day, such as this one here, which has recently surfaced around them talking about Wilbur indirectly.
You know what I want in a relationship? Because I do. I've thought about it a lot. I've been consistently single for years. And it's not for lack of people trying. It's just that the people I want haven't been trying. And unfortunately, I'm not allowed to try. I make bad decisions when I try. But now, I'm going to put it out there. Let the universe take it off my hands, all right? Then my hands are off the wheel. I don't drive, but I know what that means. I know I've said before that my type is tall, blonde, goofy musicians. And that is still very true. When it comes to the dynamic, like I want to be in a power couple, but I don't want to be the sole breadwinner, because I've done that. It's not fun for me. I want a man who I can create with. Music, art, opportunities, the list goes on. I am a maker of things who likes to share the making of the things. That's just me. Also, I want a man with ambition who actually acts on that ambition. I've been with too many guys who never act on their goals. It's not for me.
I think you should probably start and have a look in a mirror when you are jobless and reassess what you're saying, because you cannot be the breadwinner if you're having these problems and you don't work. I think it's quite a bit of a dichotomy there. It's a bit of a struggle for them to go through this relationship advice and troubles. It's really sad in it, and it's just coming across once again just tick boxing every single thing about what I want in a relationship, which all comes down to Wilbur Soot.
Also, I want to be with a man who is successful on his own and also isn't threatened by the fact that I am successful and want to be successful. I am awesome and amazing, and he should understand that and be proud of that. You know what the most important thing is to me? I want to be romanced. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a princess when I grew up. I read too many books, watched too many rom-coms, listened to way too many love songs. I want to be somebody's muse. Is that too much to ask? I'm amazing. Surely it's easy to be inspired by me. I deserve to be courted. I deserve to go on nice dates. I deserve to be flaunted around like a princess because I am one. I've never been on a first date. What's up with that? I like effort. I like flowers. I like candles. I am not difficult to please in this department.
Yeah, you don't sound difficult to please, and I hope you find the person eventually. This whole Tyler catastrophe is just a catastrophe. There's been so much coming out in the past days, and there is only going to be more coming out now, which will further this very weird and odd complex that is going on with Tyler catastrophe. They're a creator who, in my opinion, wants only one thing, and that is to move to Brighton so that they can end up being around and being with Wilbur Soot, which is like the most parasocial relationship you've got going on. I'm not saying people can like fantasize in a sense about a celebrity or a impressionable person on the internet to be with them. That is what I imagine is very normal. But to the extent of creating a GoFundMe to move over to the UK so that you could be in the same city supporting the same football team that is existing in that city, going on loads of rants about how you want your perfect person to be exactly like what you want Wilbur, saying Wilbur wasn't an abuser when practically he did everything but admit it, and dying on that hill because you are just an insane dick rider. It's such a massively weird sort of avenue to go down, and it is an internet rabbit hole that is only going to be developing further. I expect this to get much weirder over time, but for now, I hope you enjoyed. I've been Jet Baz, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.